Warhurst here with new Cullman head football coach Trent Walker. Coach, welcome home.
It feels good to say that. And you think about it, you dream about it. When you leave, you took a chance to try to make something happen, to have the opportunity. And my wife and I have talked about what that would look like, feeling now we're actually living it. So it's really neat.
When you left here 4 years ago, you told some folks that you were leaving to go be a head coach and get experience so that if the opportunity ever presented itself to come back home, you would have that chance. And today's that day, Coach. Talk about that journey.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. You think you know what it's like to be a head coach, and so you think you can wait in the wing and eventually become a head coach, but there was no better ground to go learn than Lawrence County. It was a place where nobody knew me at all. So every relationship that I have today was forged through intentional relationship and culture building and process building, and I was blessed to time it up in some ways really well. There was some additional units for the COVID era, and there was an indoor facility that was being built when I got there. There were so many things that I'd timed up well. I don't take for granted that, but mostly it was built off the hard work of our coaching staff and getting our young men to buy into something that was bigger than themselves. We went to the playoffs the first time back. I had a winning season for the first time back-to-back in 25 years, and there's not one young man that's going to play college football on that roster. So we did it through building a team, and that's obviously what I've always felt like the model at Cullman has to be. You have to be the best team on the field. You may not have the best athletes every night out, but if we can forge a team and a brotherhood, we feel like there's games that we're going to steal from other teams.
You talked, when you met with your team earlier this morning, you talked about tradition. Their tradition at Cullman. You grew up going to games in Oliver Woodard Stadium. You wore the black and gold. You've coached here. Talk about that tradition here at Cullman.
Yeah, in the interview process, I made sure that they understood, I feel like I'm pulling generations together. I think of the men that I watched as a young guy, sliding on that hill, that grass hill, and watching these warriors in black and gold, like these guys that look so physically, stature and presence, and I want to be one of those guys one day, to being one of them that young people looked up to. And so when this opportunity came open, I was reached out to by guys that actually played older than me, that know I'm coaching, and I just felt this obligation and duty to unite, what has been such a proud. I think about Cullman defenses and how physical we've played the game. I think about scoring points. We've done it all in terms of scoring points, great defense, physical play. I've got buddies that played, back when it was Walker, and they talk about when we played Cullman. We knew, not just the rivalry part, but just the physical presence that Cullman teams play with, and you could just tell they were, united as, again, a brotherhood, and that our people were proud of the way the team competed. No, that's kind of the goal. There's a game we had against a Cullman County team this past year, a top 5 team in the state. We lost by 3, but when we left the field, we got a standing ovation. Our people in the community recognize how hard our guys fought, and that's kind of what I see here is that, we understand Cullman where it falls in certain things, but we can always control our class, and we also control how we play the game and compete.
You've got a lot of coaching experience and life experience, too, from Auburn University to the Air Force Academy, Virginia Military Institute, I think Gadsden, Gunnersville, back here at Cullman, and now at Lawrence County. Talk about all that experience and how you're going to bring that here to Cullman to make you guys what you want the vision of Cullman to be.
Yeah, in the interview process, again, I made sure, as much as I talked about what I could do being from Cullman, I'm so much more than just from Cullman. I've only spent a third of my coaching career at Cullman. So I bring this, like you said, a vast experience of different head coaches I work for, different geographical regions, different, economic, socioeconomic, all these things are different everywhere you go, and they just continue to pour into the sum total of who you can be as a coach. And I'm bringing all that. When today stepping in front of the team, they got all that. That's what I told them, I'm a resource. I want to be your head coach. I want to be a mentor. But at the end of the day, I'm a football resource because of what's been put into me by collegiate coaches to great high school coaches. Lance Reese is one of my great mentors, and obviously the success he's had there. People ask all the time, do you get nervous on Friday night when you jump out of a plane for the Air Force?
Yeah.
No, Friday night seems okay.
Yeah.
So it's just all those things, even to the discipline, is forged through being a military, the way we communicate, chain of command. There's just so many tie-ins to all my little stops along the way that I think bring a sum total that I hope Cullman people can be proud of.
Hearing you talk to your team, I sense character is big in you and in what you want to instill in the young men. One of the greatest football coaches, in my opinion, to ever coach is Pat Dye. You quoted Pat Dye several years ago when he said, "Never coach a player harder than you love them." in this game, yes, in one sense, we're measured by wins and losses, but at the other sense, to me, being a successful coach is taking young boys and young men and teaching them to be husbands and fathers. Talk a little bit about that, Coach.
Yeah, the integrity of what we do is more important than the results we get. We're going to be measured by so much more. I talk about it's not, what your teammates are going to remember about you is how you made them feel. They're not going to remember a single catch you made, a throw you made, a tackle you made. They're not really going to remember those things. They're going to remember you, how you made them feel. That was your interactions with them, the way you invested in them, the way you gave of yourself. So we know what are we doing if we care more about the results than the men behind the underneath the pads. That heart factor for me is not right. I don't want to be known for winning football games. I think we'll do that with our process that we're going to put in place, but so much more important is that our faculty knows that our young men are allies and ambassadors on the campus, that they feel like they're being the best, and they're young men, they're going to make mistakes, but that they're constantly chasing their best version of themselves. They can be a little bit better tomorrow than they were today, and that's something that I want my sons, when they're around our football team, that I don't have to worry about what's being said around their ears. That we can have a family environment with all our coaches. Kids can come up there, and the coaches don't have to be on pins and needles about the characteristics displayed in our locker room, and not because my kids are there, because it's just who we are. Right. That's our heart response, is we just care about something bigger than just ourselves.
Not necessarily X's and O's, but what can we see from the Cullman Bearcats this fall?
Yeah, we talk about axioms. The scheme can change by personnel. I think the best high school coaches take who they have in their hallways and in their locker room. They try to, play into strengths. And so I don't talk about, like you said, scheme, but there are some axioms. I believe in running the football. I believe that, when you got to run it, are you equipped to do that? And so we're going to always be heavy emphasis on the run. Helps us control the clock. I talk a lot about Cullman in the mindset of a service academy, in that we got to have high level execution. If we can execute more 15-play drives, high school football doesn't happen a lot. Usually 6 to 8 is kind of the longest drive that teams in high school are able to. If we can go 12 to 15 plays on a drive because we have a run game where we can get 2 to 3 or 4 yards at any time, and that requires understanding of leverage. Like, it's not just because we chose to run the ball. We've got to be good as coaches tactically in what the best runs are per our scheme. But the point is to shorten the game and then also excel on special teams. And defensively, this again, we talked about earlier, the same just physical brand of football. We are going to knock you down. We are going to play through the whistle and be very physical, sideline to sideline, but we value yards so much and keeping our team. The fastest way to win a game is not to lose it first. So not self-inflicted penalties, selfish penalties. There's competitive penalties and there's selfish penalties, and we got to eliminate at Cullman all the selfish penalties, because we're never going. We can't consistently overcome that night in and night out against the teams that we want to beat to win the region and the host playoff games. And so that is going to be some things again for us. We're going to play our best players. If that's the special teams, we're going to commit to playing our best 11 players at every snap of the game. There may be some two-way guys. There may not. There may be some. I expect starters to be on special teams. What we've had a model in my previous school. It has changed the game for us there, and I think again, there's a lot of parallels I draw to where we are, in our region. I think if we can get that commitment from players to play the game, you only get to do this one time in high school. You play every snap and go from there. So.
Yeah. Coach, thank you for your time. We'll look forward to getting to know you better and spending time with you, sir. Welcome home.
Thank you for what you do specifically for our program, all of Cullman Athletics, and I am proud to be a Cullman Bearcat again.